Hey, it's Jordan. I wanted to welcome you all back from One Shot Summer and welcome you to our continued campaign. And I wanted to give you a little sneak preview of the recap that Bjorn gives for us in our next episode.
Moving on. So, moving on, I think we're all deserving of a bit of a recap.
Please.
So, the first thing to know is you all have been traveling together for approximately 2.5 weeks, going by the in game calendar. Yes, I have looked it up, found the exact day on the calendar when you all first met, and the date on the calendar. The story is picking up. After some time at a fair in the north of the Vagabond Assemblage, where you came together, played some fair games, fought a zombie chimera, took down a criminal on the run who ended up having a sword possessed by a blood witch that for a
Oh yeah.
time had corrupted Kira and was either trying to fully take command of him or possibly drain his life force itself into the sword. That bond was broken. You also ended up at the Shimmerstone mine, where an arcane reservoir had been found, and some members of a group from the Thanamirian Empire known as the Census, which are largely known to be mage hunters and uphold the laws of magic within the Empire, seemed to be on hand, which was highly sus. Some of these individuals which you encountered seem to be part of a rogue faction from the census, referring to themselves as the Upright. You dealt with 4 members of one squad at the mine, but Kira was able to inform you these squads always operate in groups of 5. You wondered where the 5th was. The 5th, I would say you encountered, but more encountered you all in the woods. A little scrap happened, and they sicked some chain devils on you. That person still at large. You not you be enemied? Is that the opposite of befriended? A group of adventurers known as the Low Elves, when they very much tried to deceive you, going back to the Chimera incident, and their leader, Sindel Trueshot, you have informed her that it's hands on sight should you encounter her again. While in the town of Silent Gulch, which you were brought to by one of the leaders within the assemblage, Marshal Elijah Bicker, you encountered the second rogue group of the census, more members of the Upright, who wanted you to parley with them but not bring the marshal. You did bring the marshal, and thus thwarted an assassination attempt on him. And these individuals you soundly thrashed and brought in. There was also an encounter with a emissary of a dark fey entity known as the Earl King that seemed to have a strong interest in Mannix. Kira received news of a promotion within the early ranks of the census, meaning he has full jurisdiction of what to do with these 5 captives if they're to be turned back over to the Empire for sentencing or just be executed outright for attempting to cause a violation of an international treaty. So that's a possibility. It was also found out that Siobhan, who grew up thinking she was human, is not. She is of a race of people called the Kalashtar, which are tied to the plane of dreams, and she's learned that when she was but a wee babe, her people were massacred, and she has these, what she thought were dreams, possibly visions of that day. And as far as who and what happened, she doesn't entirely know. We know that Reba used to run with a rough crowd living in the slums of the Empire, and her ex girlfriend and some of those members raised a Draugr, a zombie like warrior, which Reba attempted to stop the ritual, was able to prevent this Draugr from doing any harm, but Lottie, her ex, was dragged into the domain of death, of the goddess of death, Hela, which Reba now seems to have a connection to and powers brought forth of. Garnet. Garnet just has wonderful criminal contacts and is just the happiest rogue you could ever meet. Garnet's out for adventure and to possibly become the greatest thief the world has ever known. But we've learned she's got a bit of a code. For when you met Stephen, or Gandos the Magnificent, as some got to know, she wouldn't steal certain possessions of his because she won't steal people's joy, which is an interesting code for a thief to have. And then, of course, Pohaku, he of the Whispering Wood, who was sent out to meet someone who knew the land, who was of the land, and encountering Garnet, who was heading into this mine to check on her family's stake. He thought perhaps this is destiny. And that's how they first begin traveling together. But all of you now in the town of Silent Gulch, within the Vagabond assemblage. When we last played, it was 4 days until the train arrived.